Hello and welcome to this webinar on easy media and how to build your media profile and boost your career. So what we're going to cover is why do you need a media profile? How do you get one? And how does it help your career? And I'm going to show you at the end how you can shortcut the process if you're interested in doing so. So let's crack on. First of all, let me know where you're watching from. If you're watching this live, put it in the chat. If you're watching a recording of this, put it in the comments box. It's always interesting to know the strategies that I'm going to lay out today pretty much work everywhere in the world. Maybe not North Korea, but I'm assuming you're not watching from North Korea. Everywhere else in the world, these strategies work. So let me know where you're watching from. I'd love to hear. So who's this for? Basically, I'm looking for ambitious, driven, career-orientated people that are trying to get advanced, trying to get a leg up. You probably haven't got any media coverage up until now. Your online profile could do with a little bit of work. What this isn't for is if you already have a media profile and you're looking to get onto the front page of the Financial Times or Forbes magazine or something like that, this isn't for you. This is really for people that are kind of entry level, just want to get started. And I'll tell you why it's important to get started, because you can't get any of the higher media until you get on that bottom rung. So let's get started. This isn't about me, but just for some context, if you Google Callum Laing, you'll see a little bit about me. I run a couple of public companies and some businesses and a bunch of things. But more importantly, over the last 5 to 10 years, I've helped more than 2,000 people like you get their first bit of media coverage, get their first exposure, and help to build their profiles. More than 2,000. It's amazing how quickly that's come around. But what I'm going to show you is what I've learned from helping more than 2,000 people. Now, is there a benefit to having a media profile? Well, look, here are some of the things that I've seen with the people that I've worked with. Obviously, your visibility and your exposure grows, and I'll explain why that's important at the moment. You get credibility. Of course, you can put a post on LinkedIn, but you get credibility when you're featured by another media source. And that gives you authority. If you're talking about your business or you're talking about your industry, you then get authority. You become a thought leader in that space. Obviously, it improves your networking, because what happens is people read about you and then they reach out to you if they can see opportunities. Your personal brand obviously gets stronger the more media coverage you get. And you get professional development opportunities. What happens is that companies will read about you and say, hey, this is somebody that we want in our company. You'll get things like speaking opportunities. You'll get job offers. You'll get partnership inquiries. And basically, your influence grows. Your ability to persuade people that you're the right solution for them grows, and that allows you to have more impact. So yes, in my mind, there's a huge benefit from a media profile. Are there some downsides? We're not talking about being famous at the highest level of fame. We're just talking about being famous within your little niche, within your business world, so that you can get all those extra opportunities. There's not a lot of downsides that come with this. Now, the key thing is you have this unique background. You are the only person in the world that has the experience that you have, that has the contacts that you have, and that makes you unique. Now, the people that know you might not be particularly excited by that. If you know 200 people, the average person knows around 200 people, there may be no one in that 200 people that has an opportunity for you, or maybe one person. If 2,000 people know of you, then there's a much higher chance that people in that network will have opportunities that you're perfectly suited for. If 20,000 people know you, then exponentially more people are likely to have opportunities. This is why we look at people like Elon Musk and Richard Branson. We think, how do they get so much done? Well, the reason is that so many people know them and know what they can achieve that they go to them with fully formed opportunities, and they can just sit there and just go, yes, no, and get these things done instantly. So what we want to try and do is do that on a scaled down version for you. Someone out there needs you. There is a company out there that could thrive if you were with it, with your background and your experience, but they don't know about you, or if they know about you, they don't trust you yet. So that's what a media profile is about. Basically, we want to get you with the social proof that comes from being featured by the media, plus the law of large numbers. So people will trust you because you've been featured by somebody else, plus more and more people will see you, and therefore the chances of one of them having an opportunity for for you means that that's where you get that intersection, and that's where luck starts to happen. So basically, we're just trying to get ourselves into the middle of this zone where we get more luck coming into our lives. Now, why isn't the media currently interested in you? Well, this is kind of where I had my epiphany about 8 years ago. My light bulb moment. I was lucky enough, I'd managed to get some media quite early on in my entrepreneurial career, and that led to much more media. And then I knew people in my network that were doing way cooler stuff than me, but they weren't getting media attention. And I started talking to reporters and started to intermingle with media people. And I was saying, like, why aren't you covering these other entrepreneurs? And what I realized is you've got this fame paradox. And basically the fame paradox is you need to be famous in order to get famous. What happens is if you approach a journalist, for example, and say, hey, look, I've got a really interesting story, the first thing they're going to do is Google you. If you're not there in the Google world, if they don't see other reporters that have written about you, they're not going to respond to your email. Basically, they're going to assume you're not important. So you need to be famous before you get famous. So in fact, what happens is when an interview gets done with you, what happens is other reporters read that interview and go, oh, this sounds like an interesting person. Let me interview them too. And you kind of get in this upward spiral of value, but you have to start somewhere. So that's the fame paradox. You've got to move from being unknown to being well known so you can be very well known. Now, over the years, like I said, I've worked with over 2,000 people. I've realized that there is a very simple 5-step strategy to make this work. It is very simple. Basically, you need to have that credibility, consistency. You want to go cross-platform. You want to connect with your audience, and then crescendo, which means that you need to amplify what you're doing. So let's run through these. First of all, credibility comes from, obviously, if there's an interview with you in the Financial Times or on Forbes or Inc. or entrepreneur.com, then that's huge credibility. You get a huge credibility from that, or Bloomberg or Reuters, any of these give you credibility. But actually, right at the beginning, it doesn't matter. You just need anyone that will do that to get you that credibility so that other reporters higher up the stream can do that. Second thing is consistency. Sometimes you'll get an interview, you'll get a media interview. It's great. You get that coverage. You shout about it on social media. Everyone's thrilled. And then nothing happens. And then what happens is that nobody else reaches out to you. You want to be consistent. If you look at the Elon Musks, the Richard Bransons of the world, they're out there all the time. They very rarely let a month go past without having some news that they can talk. So you want to be consistent. You want to be getting out there consistently, and that builds trust in people's minds. You want to be cross-platform. One thing, if you look at the people that do this well, we read about them, we watch videos, we hear them on podcasts. So you want to be cross-platform, and that helps build that credibility as well. The fourth thing is you want to build connections. So you don't just want to be featured in the media. You want to be featured in the media in a way that your audience relates to you, in a way that if you're trying to build your career, that other companies think, hey, this is somebody that we want in our business. So you need to learn how to let a bit of your personality shine through to build that connection. And finally, you want to do what we call crescendo. Crescendo is basically amplifying what you get. So if you get an interview in the media or a video, how much time are you spending to promote that? Now, what's interesting, if you look at the big commercial companies, if they have a budget, so if Amex, for example, and I spoke to the marketing director of Amex recently, if they have a big marketing campaign and their budget is $30 million for the whole marketing campaign, they spend $3 million on the creative, so doing the advert and all of that good stuff. And then they spend 27 million, so 10% on the advert, 90% on amplification, on crescendo, on basically getting it out to distribution and all of those sort of things. Whereas most of us, we might do an hour's interview and then we spend 2 minutes posting it on social media and forget all about it. Now, what we want to be doing is spending a lot more time to promoting it or finding other partners that can help us build that crescendo, and that's where the amplification happens. Now, if you follow that 5-step process, you will get and stay noticed. It just works, and it works over and over again. So definitely this idea that media leads to more media is this upward spiral of value. You've got to start somewhere. But once you do, you can do it. Now, the easiest thing to do if you're career ambitious is to be posting on LinkedIn. Possibly you found this video on LinkedIn. It does work. It's a weird place. I know it's a weird place. There are some very strange people on there. There are also some great people on there. And most of your opportunities will come from there if you know how to play it well. There will be three things that are holding you back. They're the same three things that hold everyone back that I speak to. And the first is what we call it, this catch-22. You can't get the media exposure without media exposure. The second is this one and done. And the third is basic media training. So catch-22 basically means that the big magazines, the big newspapers, they're not going to cover you until they see you a tier below, and those tier below aren't going to cover you until you see it. So you've got to start somewhere. Now, you can obviously post on LinkedIn, but you don't get any credibility because anyone can post on LinkedIn. So you need to find a publication in your industry that would be open to taking a risk on you. Once you get that first publication, then it gets much, much easier. Second thing is this one and done. So if you get that first publication, you get the media, you get the reporter, they do the interview, it's all good, you get published, then nothing happens. How do you get another one? How do you get interviewed again? How do you get into a second publication, a third publication, a fifth publication? You want to make sure you're not one and done. And then the third one is a little bit of media training. And this is one of the problems that I see is sometimes people get this opportunity, they get an opportunity to be interviewed by the media, and nobody's given them any media training. And so what happens is they tend to answer questions in a way that's logical and honest, but doesn't make great media. So for example, there are three ways you can answer a question. So the reporter might ask you, what do you do? You might say, I'm an accountant. It's true. It might be what you do, but it's not a particularly interesting answer. It doesn't really serve you. Whereas an answer that serves you is you might say, I'm one of the best accountants out there. I'm the accountant that can make CEOs sleep calmly at night. And I can solve all the problems in a company. Now, that is an answer that serves you. That's an answer where a CEO of another company that's reading about you might go, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone that can help me sleep safely at night. Now, the third type of answer is an answer that serves the media. This is an answer that gives them a quote that they can use. It gives them a headline that they can go out at. People like Richard Branson, people like Elon Musk are fantastic at doing this. Elon Musk needed attention on his SpaceX program. He started talking about going to Mars. It was so far-fetched at the time that the media had to write about it. They knew that if they wrote about a billionaire plans to go to Mars, everyone would click on that story. So Elon Musk did that knowing that that wasn't really what was relevant in the next 10, 20 years, but that he needed the attention. That with that attention, it would attract the top engineers to come and work with him. It would attract the top investors. So he is very, very good at answering in terms of what the media do. Trump was another one, very, very good at making statements that the media loved and could put out there. So all of this is about media training. It's about learning how to answer in a way that the media comes back to you. Now, all of these are pretty easy for you to solve. All of these give you the opportunity to get that media, which allows you to get more opportunities in your life, which is kind of what we're all after. If you get lots and lots of job offers, it allows you to negotiate better. It allows you to pick the ones that are most exciting. And that's really what we're focused on here is more opportunities. Now, is now a good time? Well, my guess is that you're probably busy. Basically, the ideal time with all of these things is years ago. If you had done this years ago, if you already had a great media profile, if you Googled well, then you'd already be getting loads and loads of opportunities coming to you. So is now a good time? My view is yes. It may not be the perfect time. It's always kind of this idea that we'll have more time in 6 months' time. We never do. But I can guarantee that in 6 months' time, you'll wish you had started today, because by 6 months' time, you will have already built up a bit of a media profile and you'll start to be seeing opportunities coming to you. Now, look, some people already go, look, I get this, Callum. Thank you very much. It all makes sense. That's the problem. I was aiming for the top media. I need to aim for the bottom media and just get on that bottom rung. Maybe I wasn't answering questions the right way. That all makes sense. I'm going to go out and do this. That's great. Other people will be going, yeah, look, I understand that, but I still need some help. I'm looking for an unfair advantage. How can you get me into the media without me having to go and knock on doors and do it myself? And that's what I've done for 2,000 people. I've given them that unfair advantage. I've given them that first bit of media coverage, which allows them to then go on and start to get more media coverage. So that's what the Easy Media program is about. It's a zero to hero. So again, this is not, if you've already got a media background and you're looking to kind of get into the top, you probably need to work with a PR firm. That's not what we're about. We're just here to help you. If you haven't got any media coverage, you want to get a little bit more so you can improve your opportunities with your career. It is all completely guaranteed. So if you do decide you want to go and do this, if you start getting halfway through the program and you think, you know what, this isn't for me, just hit the refund button. You'll get a refund. So it's absolutely completely guaranteed. There's no risk to you. Step one of the Easy Media package is we'll do a published interview with you. Basically, we're going to send you the questions ahead of time. You can sit there with a coffee. You can write them. You don't need to do it spur of the moment like a live TV interview. You can think about these answers. And then you send them back. Our editor will tidy them up. We'll publish them on Enterprise Zone, which you might have already heard of. It's just a great platform for leaders and entrepreneurs and others. And it gets you that credibility and it gets you your first interview published. So that's the first one. That gives you that credibility. Second one we do is we'll send you every single week. We're going to send you a question. And it's questions that are all business and leadership related. So what living entrepreneur do you most admire? What are you grateful for? What have you learned since you left formal education that's been most useful? And all you need to do is write 100-word answer. So less than 100 words. So super quick and easy. And then what happens is Enterprise Zone will publish that. Now, basically for Google, what Google sees is that you are basically becoming a thought leader because every week you are being published on a respectable platform talking about business and leadership, which means that when people search, your name will start to go up there. So it's really about, that's about the consistency. You get 100 questions, so one a week for 100 weeks. That's 2 years of being published. It has a huge impact on your Google ability. Now, the second thing is to go, third thing is to go cross-platform. It's not just enough for people to read them. You want them to be able to see you or hear you. In this case, what we do is we give you a micro podcast. Now, a micro podcast is a very short podcast. Normally, these podcasts are like an hour, 2 hours. Nobody's got time for that. So the micro podcast is something, it's like little bite-sized podcasts that you can listen to on the way to work. We'll ask you one question, you record the answer to that question, it gets topped and tailed and edited and then gets published, and bang, you get your first podcast out there. You can then use that to go and get more podcast interviews. One of the things that happens, there are so many podcasts out there, they're all desperate for guests, but they never want first-time guests. They always want people that have already been on other podcasts. So again, same principle. Once you get the first podcast, you then start getting attracted to other podcasts. Step 4 is a little bit later down the journey. So about 6 months after you've started this program, we'll send you another interview. Again, you can do it all in your own time. And this one is about creating connections. So we call it the day in the life of, and it's a little bit about what does a typical day look like for. Now, for the first interview, that was much more about your career, how you've got to where you are today, what's your story, what are you good at, what are the skills that you've got. It's a little bit more sort of positioning for career opportunities, but we need to create connection as well. We want our audience to think, oh, this is somebody that I actually kind of have, I can build rapport with, I understand. So a day in the life is like a little bit a peek behind the curtains to show a little bit more about who the real person is behind the persona. And that creates that connection. And the final one is amplification. Now, what we have is Easy Media with a whole bunch of social media guys that will post your interview, post your podcast, get it out to the widest possible market. You can also do the same thing as well. You want to push that out to your audience. And the more interesting you are, the more that gets shared with more and more people. And that's the crescendo. That's the amplification of all of this. Now, I've worked with many, many PR agencies over the years. Generally, they're starting, if you want to work with a PR company, it typically starts at around $5,000 per month. I've paid up to $60,000 a month for certain PR companies, for companies that I've worked with. The 5-step package that we have is normally $5,000 one-time fee. So even though the thought leadership thing covers over 2 years, even though you've got 2 published interviews, you've got the podcast, it's just a one-time fee of $5,000. However, we're just in the process of redoing this, and therefore there's an opportunity for you to get it 90% discount. So just get it for $497, but we need your help. So basically, I've been doing this for more than 5 years. We've got more than 2,000 people that we've helped. I've got lots of testimonies from them, lots of very nice things that they've said, but we haven't actually proactively gone out and tried to get any testimonies. So what we're saying is that if you sign up for this, you can have a 90% discount, but we really ask that you give us a nice testimony if you get value from it. If you don't get value from it, just get a refund, get the money back. I'd much rather you were happy and happy enough to give us a testimony than do this and unhappy. So basically, it's $497. If you click in the link below, and actually I'm in the way, or if the link isn't there, just type in easymedia.pro if this offer is still available. So if you're watching a recording, this offer might not still be available. Hopefully it is. Type in easymedia.pro or click on that link. You will get the published interview. You'll get 2 years of weekly thought leadership ambassador program. You'll get the micro podcast, you get the follow-up behind the curtain interview, and you get the social media amplification. I am going to throw in a few bonuses because I really want you to do this well and not just do poor interviews. So we're going to do a media training video, how to come across well in that first interview, how to position yourself as a leader, managing what you stand for, and avoiding procrastination. What I find a lot of people do is they do this and then they stare at it for days at a time without filling it in. So how do you make sure you actually get it out there? Because it's only when it's out there that it's serving you. AI is now becoming really, really useful tool. So I'll give you some suggestions on how you can use AI to make yourself sound smarter. We have a 30-day media profile checklist. Basically, these are some things that you need to start doing just to get the best out of that. That all gets thrown in for free. What we've done is we've set up a LinkedIn media group. So basically, you can join this LinkedIn media group and just support other people. So anyone that's on this journey, they want to get some exposure, join this media group. When you get an interview, when it comes out, share it in the group. Everyone in that group can go and like and comment on it, and that helps the LinkedIn amplification, basically basically the process to get that out to the widest possible group. Plus, we're going to show you how to leverage it. So how do you use social media? Again, you want to amplify it, crescendo it as much as possible. Finally, we'll give you a training video on how do you create connection with your audience, let them behind the curtain so they know the real you, but without giving too much away. This is something I struggled with for a really long time. I'm quite happy talking about the business side of what I do. I didn't really want to share things about my family. So how do you let people connect with you, but without giving away too much? So that bonus is thrown in as well. I also have an incredible conversation with a woman that she's run PR companies. She's run some of the biggest PR companies in the world. She has done investor relations and public relations for one of the biggest banks in the world. And I do an interview with her. She talks a bunch of really, really cool stuff about how you can build your personal profile. So all of that will get included as well if you sign up today. So you get the published interview, the 2 years of weekly thought leadership, the micro podcast, the follow-up behind the curtain, the social media amplification, the media training video, the AI, the first 30 days, the LinkedIn media group sheet, the social media, time for leverage, behind the curtains, PR masterclass. All of that stuff gets in. Right now, it's just $497, but do click on the link or go to easymedia.pro as fast as you can, because we can't hold this forever. Once we've got kind of like, I don't know, a few hundred very cool testimonies, then we'll go back to the $5,000 price, which, look, even if you have to pay the $5,000 price, that's great value. If you start this process and you decide, you know what, it's not right for me, just ask for a refund. We'll send you back the money. It's no problem. We'll take the media down. Look, it's not for everyone. So really no risk. Get joined up today, and I look forward to reading all about you. All the best. Thank you.